This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
What are we doing?
We're watching another movie.
Movies.
We're on to 48. We're on the slow roll towards one right now.
It is the slow
roiling
And it is.
boil.
We're going to go extra slow because we're going to break this movie up into two parts because there's a really good documentary. But this week we're going to watch the 1979 movie Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The synopsis is a U.S. Army officer serving in Vietnam is tasked with assassinating a renegade special forces colonel who sees himself as a god. And I think...
Dun, dun, dun.
John, who hasn't got
Which is
it?
weird
I'm not
because
paying
I read
attention to this
another.
anymore.
I read another synopsis and it was so different.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did it make sense too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I like this one better because it doesn't give the movie away.
Yeah. This one's
The
kind of
other
just
one I read
the
like
paper.
mentioned madness, and I was like, that kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, all right,
I think
John.
John gets to go first this
You want
time.
me to go first?
I think
Okay.
so.
Sure. Now that you've
That's
rambled on about
fine.
God for like 20 minutes, we can now
You
listen to
started
your.
it.
I know I
You
did.
started
I know
it.
I
You
did.
started it.
I
Yeah.
know. I started it. Yeah.
Do you find
yeah.
yourself, do you think of yourself as a god, John? To your people that you
No.
control?
I have
No.
the hairline of
No.
a god.
Not
You
even
know?
my children. No.
Listeners,
kinda
TC
like,
is
you know.
completely bald. He's pointing at his
Oh,
shiny
yeah.
bald head.
Imagine.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm like got all my notes and stuff pulled up here. Let's see that again.
Do
See
it.
that again,
Go,
please.
John.
What are we doing
Let's go.
again?
Oh, I thought you were completely bald. I wanted to see it.
No, I got the hairline of a god.
Oh, you
That's why I wear
do?
the baseball hat all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
why I know.
He's ashamed
And
of his
funny,
perfect hair.
When I
No,
went to
it would
Boston,
blind
someone
people.
asked me,
It
they're
would,
like, you
like, knock
balding?
people out."
You're losing your fucking hair? It's why you wearing a hat? And I was like, oh, I live in California. There's sun.
Yeah.
But
But you're
I still like
inside.
it.
yeah, but I'm in Boston and I'm inside. So why are you wearing a hat?
You
Yeah,
cannot
right. Anyway,
see the holy hairline and live.
yeah, it's fucking God.
It'll blind you. It'll turn
like
you into
really
stone.
It's too
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm
It's
not
too
quite a
perfect.
god. I'm more of a Medusa. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Sure.
right, too.
It's
I
not
like
quite
that.
as perfect as it is snakes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyways, all right.
difference.
So now back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
TC's got really nice hair. John is a god. Let's go.
Yes.
Podcast time.
I think this movie is the most amazing, wonderful, beautiful representation
That you don't
of
care about.
smoke that I've ever seen.
I knew you were going to
The
beat it.
smoke is glorious.
I mean, the explosions are cool.
The explosions are cool. The scenery is fantastic. I really like some of the cinematography is awesome. I love and the helicopters. This movie is.
I can't tell if he's being
No, he's going to be
sarcastic.
negative. John,
No,
he's
no.
going
Oh.
positive, but you can tell he's about to go negative.
Am I?
Are you not? You sound like you are.
but a little. I mean,
I could hear the
watching it.
sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little. No,
I
no,
could
but
hear-
I do.
yeah.
I do really believe that like there's beautiful smoke in this film and the helicopters.
That sounds sarcastic.
And there's some awesome canoe shots.
Also
No.
sounds sarcastic.
Really? But
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
not,
I
but
agree with
really
you, but
like
it sounds
that.
stupid
Oh,
coming
no.
from you
It
right now.
really-
For
it
some
sounds
reason.
bad. It sounds like, yeah.
I really did like them. I swear.
Okay,
I swear to God. I really
all right,
liked them.
all right. You're not convincing me.
It's
No,
beautiful.
but-
No, the way
no.
smoke swirls under the helicopter's blades, you know, it does that little sort of like double funnel thing. It's
I don't know what it
awesome.
is with your tone of voice right now, John. I agree with you, but you sound like
Yeah.
you're being
I'm in some
sarcastic.
kind of world where but my tone is like permanent. It's like stuck in sarcasm, and now nobody will believe anything I say.
Yeah.
It's like, right, everything I
John's
say.
tired
It
again.
sounds like a fucking Jim Carrey movie during his
Yeah.
heyday when he was just knocking out those shitty comedies left and right.
What?
Wow.
Heyday
You
and
loved him
shitty.
in Liar, Liar. Now see him in Sarcasm.
I'd watch it.
Of course
I
you
mean,
would.
I'd watch
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Shit
Especially if
on
it was
liar,
Joel
liar.
Bar- if it was Joel
Yeah.
Barish in it the whole time, like sad and sarcastic, I'd definitely watch it.
Yeah. It really feels it may just be because of all these really deep war movies that we've seen that are really good and very more realistic and serious. This feels like Hollywood playing at war. Like it
Really?
So here, let me tell you how I think this movie is like The Doors.
I mean,
What?
that is a fair point.
So
It
The
just
Doors,
works though. The Doors works. With
It
the,
works
with
the
war.
Doors. Like so,
Yeah.
I think The Doors are on one hand, it's not deep. It's not real poetry. It's kind of bullshit. But they are on drugs, and Jim Morrison is really beautiful.
And those guitars.
I disagree. The
Those
Doors music
guitars.
is beautiful.
There's some talent. There's skill.
There's some talent.
The double-handed guy there, you know, the
lyrics
organ
and stuff
player.
are really kind of crap.
Yeah.
It's really not that deep.
I mean,
It's
one guy
kinda
plays
shitty.
bass and organ
He's a
with
really pretty guy
at the same time.
right?
good stuff.
So I really don't feel like this stuff in this movie is that deep. It really isn't. It just tries to appear very meaningful and deep, but it's so farcical at times that it's hard to take seriously. And I think once you know too that everybody is like fucking sick and drugged out of their minds, you sort of see that instead of the film. So it's like, oh yeah, I don't know these people. These people are in character. They're just all like,
but that
fucked
is their
up
character.
and in
He
the jungle and
turned
sick. I know.
He turned the people's
Right,
problems
right.
into the movie.
But I didn't care. I honestly didn't care about it. And I don't know if you're supposed. It's like, I was supposed to kill a guy, and I don't know how many people I killed. He's an American.
I'm surprised
I guess
by
that shouldn't
this.
make it worse.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I
couldn't
just
disagree with you harder, John. Not to keep interrupting you. That
harder?
you think this is the most Hollywood war movie we've seen? I think this is the least Hollywood war movie
I think
we've
it's
seen.
it feels like a Hollywood in the sense of like cool hippies doing the show.
It's not Hollywood. This seems like art house is shit. It's like slow sometimes. It's like thoughtful sometimes. Other war movies they try to, this one tapers out at the end.
I don't feel like it's art house. I feel like it's like the cool kids trying to do this, and it doesn't feel authentic. Is that strange?
Huh.
I don't know how to say it. It's like. I don't know. It's like all these superstars doing this, and
Is it because they don't really do?
Marlon Brando's
Is it
sitting
because
there
they're not
going,
really at war?
Like starting out there with
You
his
know?
character, and I also what I did for my reading corner as I read the script, I tried to read Heart of Darkness, and that book was difficult. So I gave up on that because it was just like some guy like is on a boat and he just starts telling a story and he doesn't stop for 100 of pages. So it's kind of hard. It's just kind of hard to follow.
You got another week to finish it, John. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not going to do it. I read the script though. So I've got some script comparisons and all of this stuff like Marlon Brando says is just sort of ad-libbed and weird. And it's like, I see a snail on a razor blade and the snail survives. Give me a fucking break, snail on a razor blade. You got a snail on a razor blade. Come on.
I can't argue with that.
So seats on the razor blade doesn't get cut because it's really deep. It's still on a razor blade.
Oh shit! Maybe John got sleep last night.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the cinematography is beautiful. I think the characters are fun. They're interesting at times. I mean, our lead character is just odd. I mean, the hotel scene is really good, and we learned from the background that he's really, really fucked up in that scene, and breaks the mirror,
and it sets it up enough for him to go crazy.
He's just, and again, it's like The Doors. Like some of that stuff. Jim Morrison is high out of his fucking mind, and so it fits really well. I just don't like it. I mean, I just don't. That doesn't age well to me. It doesn't seem authentic in some way, even though they really are fucked up. It just doesn't seem that deep. I don't know, or that I don't know, authentic. I don't know what the words are. See, I don't know what the right word is.
You just don't like the
deep and
music of the
authentic.
Doors. Is what I'm getting out of this.
Well,
I mean, I was
don't
going
like
to
the Doors.
raise that question. If you don't like the Doors, it's tough.
I like some of it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I
You
also,
don't like the end,
generally-
which is played in like almost its entire 10
Every
minute
end.
length.
The end is one of their better songs, I think.
I mean, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, I guess so. But it
I
feels
like
so
the
emo.
Doors.
Why?
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
It does seem. That's maybe it. This feels emo. This feels like I don't know. There's an adolescent quality about it. I don't know. That is just. But
There are 14-year-olds at war in this movie. That's a part of
yes,
it.
right.
All of your criticisms are.
I like that
14-year-old.
scene of the where they're like, the arrows.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was fitting.
Yeah, that's the arrows.
I thought it was
yeah.
fitting. Like, of course they're gonna throw at least one stake at you, right? Like, you're not gonna
right.
get all
it's
kid
like
arrows.
they're just sticks,
Fucking
yeah.
shoot them.
So
I would've
I've got
been
a lot
shooting.
for reading corner. I've got a lot of things. The script that was published is quite different than the movie, and maybe in Redux they put a lot of the stuff in that wasn't in. I don't
Francis
know.
Ford Coppola went off the deep end as soon as they filmed this in order for some reason, and as soon as they got to the scene with Kilgore, that's when they discovered the smoke grenades, and as soon as they discovered that influenced what he thought the movie could be, so it went away from a war movie that he was planning on doing. And he wanted to make it make it mad and psychedelic. And
It was all about the smoke, man.
seriously.
What year did this
It
come out?
totally was.
79. But it was filmed
Okay.
in 75, 76 because it took them 3
I mean,
years
it's
to
pretty
edit it.
cool to be that era and have
Yeah.
the Doors in it at the time. I'm sure that's why it was
I
even
know,
better.
and I'm sure for its time, and it's again, it's amazing. The scenes, some of the characters are. I'm not saying I didn't like it at all. I just wasn't into. I didn't feel any seriousness to it. I guess, which is really odd.
Really?
Um,
That's really
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what to say. I'm just strange, I guess.
It's not. It's definitely a different kind of war movie.
Yeah.
Because the fighting is almost incidental, it seems like, because you're just watching this guy go into madness.
Right. It's kind of more about these characters, and I don't.
And then you know, what I liked is the character arc of like him going crazy and then like meeting the crazy guy and he's not that crazy.
At the end, sort of, but I don't
Like,
get
he's
why
less
like,
crazy than the guy coming to kill him, right?
I don't get why he's like fascinated by the crazy guy anyway. It's sort of just strange.
Because he was always nuts, I guess. But yeah,
so,
I mean, it's a good question. Because they didn't set it up for him to be like,
no, we didn't really understand his character.
Yeah,
other
I
than
know.
that, like war was his life, and all he wants is addition.
I know.
It doesn't.
I'm with you. It kind of came out of nowhere. I do agree there.
Steely-eyed action hero the whole time. I think that's the other thing is.
But you know, when you're going up, maybe a contender.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's all it was. It's like usual, like, oh my God, that's Marlon Brando.
Did
and he
Brando
couldn't
make
shake
up the
it for
snail on the
film.
razor line himself, or was that someone?
Oh yeah,
was
Denny,
that
you got
somebody
any?
else's idea? Do you know?
It was like half and half.
Yeah. What, a snail on a chopstick? No, a snail on I want a snail. A butter knife? Edgy. Think edgy. Razor blade. That's it, Jimmy. Fucking snail and a fucking razor blade. Let's take this shot.
rolling. Sound speed.
It's weird. And then Dennis Hopper comes in and it feels so... I don't know what the word is, but it just seems like almost a stereotype that he's there, man.
He's like, hey, man. Yeah.
I expect Cheech and Chong to
he
be
was
over in
kind
the
of
corner
funny, though.
laughing. It was funny, but it still is like, it just
That was
feels...
real. That's the thing. It's embarrassing to watch him, but that was real because he was fucked up during the course of this.
I know.
And he's like
Everybody was fucked up.
Yeah, but like all that stuff is real, even though it seems somewhat embarrassing.
Yeah, but it's not them really trying to act. It's just them being really fucked up. Right? And so that's, I think, the different, right? They're not like, oh, I'm
with you. That is kind of like it's kind of shitty because it's not planned.
It's different. It's different than the
That's
movie
why I think
being
it's
what
more,
it is.
it's not Hollywood at all. Hollywood wouldn't allow that shit to happen. He let people do literally whatever they wanted to do.
It's
And
not
in
Hollywood.
79, they allowed them to do whatever the fuck they wanted
It's
to
not
do.
Hollywood. It's Hollywood stars.
Not with this budget.
But it's Hollywood stars. This is like
It's Hollywood stars in the 80s and 70s. They did this shit all the time.
Right, like fucked up beyond the wildest dreams. And then
I hate
so
talent.
it seems it's like almost like we're watching
So let's make a movie.
frat party sort of thing. It's like they're all just sitting there getting drugged up, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like they themselves then are taking the movie seriously.
I honestly didn't notice they were that fucked up.
That's why it's so good, John, because that's what the movie's about. That's it reflects perfectly.
Then I can appreciate watching all these Hollywood stars get fucked up and act. Well, you know, it's not, the movie's not so much about the Vietnam War. It's about these Hollywood stars getting all fucked up and doing their thing in the jungle while going
what
crazy
you said
from
about
malaria.
the people getting fucked up and not taking it seriously is exactly what people
saying.
did when they went to Vietnam. They got fucked up and they didn't take it seriously.
Right.
I see. So it becomes very meta.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess. Right?
Yeah.
It's not really
But
like
it's
this
not
is, they're
because
really
it's
doing
Hollywood.
a great job portraying Vietnam because that's what they're
It's
trying
not
to do.
Hollywood
They're doing
either. It's a
great
privately
job.
funded movie.
Right, they're doing a great
Yeah,
job.
but anytime you get a
portraying
Hollywood
Vietnam
star in it,
because
it's
they're showing what happens when a bunch of
Hollywood.
pampered people get fucked up and thrown in the jungle.
Yeah. And to be honest, Hollywood is just a bunch of rich people that throw
No, well,
money around.
instead of saying
Stupid
Hollywood,
shit.
I still say Hollywood stars. These guys are prime time, right?
I don't know.
They're
I don't think you can ruin this for me,
you got
John.
Dennis Hopper, you got what?
I thought it was pretty good.
I think it's good too.
I think one of my favorite
I keep
shots is
saying
that
it's
the
good,
one
but
they coordinated.
I mean sarcasm.
The one they coordinated with in the beginning, man. I don't know. That's like one of the best opening scenes I've ever seen in my life.
These are beautiful shots.
Right? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It opens up, it's just like dong, and then you hear like
There's no credits. There's no
Nothing.
names.
Yeah.
No nothing.
And like the normal world they just established was just like middle of the war, right? It was great.
How did you get it? So it would have to be privately funded, right? Because like Screen Actors Guild or whatever just wouldn't let you do that, right? That's like you get fined.
Do
like,
what?
So you have to have titles in
I'm
Hollywood.
surprised they didn't. I'm also surprised,
yeah, with that, I know that. Yeah, that.
So
both
did you notice
credits
where it says Apocalypse Now towards the end on the graffitied on the wall? They had to put that in there for copyright reasons. You have to have the title on the film for copyright reasons, and they knew they weren't going to do titles, so
it was in the script though.
man.
The Apocalypse Now was in the script that it was on that was their motto. It was like that company's motto was painted somewhere.
I mean,
in the
honestly,
script,
though, if they had done credits, I wouldn't have been any less amused. I thought the opening scene was great. I could have credits over it, and I still would have got the same feeling out of it.
I agree.
The
I
ending,
think
though,
it's
I think the ending without the credits
because
is
you're
just
gonna
like,
put it lower third, And I wouldn't have
They could've.
noticed, right? I mean,
But the end just like fades away into like
I
it
know.
just the rain sound like comes up and you're just staring at like faces in the dark and shit.
Yeah.
yeah,
very
when they
art
bow
house,
down
John.
to him at
There's
the
no
end, I'm
action
just
scene.
like,
I know. I
shit.
mean, I'm thinking when I am thinking this, and I'm looking at the scenery and the things, I'm thinking of like the Green Knight and some of these films that we've seen that we've really enjoyed, just for the scenery and or just very creative, imaginative nature of it, but also like skillfully done. Right. And certainly you see that. I mean, but it's interesting from the script, the opening shot was entirely different than what they did in the movie.
Oh,
do you know how they
It's
came up with this
completely
shot?
different.
No, how'd they do it?
Francis Ford Coppola went into the editing room because he was going to transition an editor that was about to go on vacation out, and they had all these they had 1 million feet of printed film, like with color and shit.
Mhm.
So they had a shit ton of film, and the editors were just going nuts because they were trying to get some shots. And that shot was in a barrel in trash because they were editing that like napalm shot with one of the cameras. They had like 5 cameras set up, and they had them all running beforehand because, you know, you got to get the shot. So they're running the film, and the helicopters are whizzing around, and then, you know, the napalm goes off. The plan was to just get the napalm going off, but Francis Ford Coppola picked up some trash and was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's just the camera rolling, waiting for the napalm." And then he was like joking around with the editor, and he's like, "Wouldn't it be funny to put the Doors song 'The End' at the beginning of the movie?" And then they took that joke and they took that footage and put it together. And that's one of the best
that's the
freaking
beauty.
intros
That's
to a
the
movie
beauty of
ever.
that's the beauty of filmmaking right there.
I won't
man.
argue that it's a fantastic scene, and the transition with the blades to the ceiling fan is.
And that was done in the editing room too. When he was
I like
filming the
that.
ceiling fan, he didn't think of you know
Yeah.
putting the helicopters over the ceiling fan. He just thought he was looking up at the ceiling. So that was
Right.
also an editing thing.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool moments.
Right,
When they
and
can,
in the original script, they
manipulate
open up and you're seeing like I think you're seeing the Marlon Brando's company out in the mist, like just you're seeing these soldiers
Go to
that
bed,
are
I
blasting
can stand
machine
Still
gun fire at
screaming.
you, or flamethrowers at you, and that's the opening. Is you're seeing this company of soldiers coming towards you, firing weapons and things like that. So it's a very
in
different
the
opening
dawn.
scene
Blue
from
light
what's in the
filters
film.
through the jungle and across a foul
Actually,
swamp.
it is very early in the dawn. A blue light filters through the jungle and across a foul swamp. You're totally right. A mist clings to the trees. This could be a jungle of 1,000,000 years ago.
It's the first line in the script, first
That is
paragraph.
No,
first line
it's
of
just
the
the
script.
setup. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it's kind of cool to read because
It's not. It's a fun read. There's
it's
some
funny
things
how they
that
do
are-
that, right? Where they're like
Yeah.
imagining all of it, and
Right.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
How did the battle scene at the end come off in the script?
It was far more elaborate.
Francis Ford Coppola hated the idea of doing a battle scene, so he pretty much rejected it from the get-go.
Right. So in the battle script, what happened is that Marlon Brando's character, they were going to be overrun by the enemy, and everybody knew it. So they were just going to have this big last stand, and that's what happens in the script. So it's not about him killing Brando in that way. It's about them having this last stand against the enemy, and
Who's the enemy?
Brando's character, the Vietnamese.
What
So
a
it's
different
Brando
opening.
and Charlie Sheen fighting the
Yeah.
Vietnamese together?
Yep.
That's
Dude,
weird.
John, this is such a different opening. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
not even close.
It's totally
Yeah,
different.
Totally. different.
So it's really crazy how off script they went in the editing room. It seems, and I don't know.
No,
if
during filming. During
did they-
filming, for
Oh
sure.
shit! Exterior, Marina Del Rey. How about that? I didn't even
Right,
notice.
so then there's this
That's
weird
cool.
scene where they're in like Marina Del Rey, and
Yeah.
the Willard character is a bodyguard for
What the
somebody
fuck?
who's like a drug kingpin or something, and he's just sitting there reflecting on his time.
Sugar's up $200 a ton. Sugar.
Yeah. So it's
What
very,
about
there's this-
oil? Like, what kind of fucking conversation is this?
I don't know if Redux has any of that in it, but this is like where that character ends up, and then he's reflecting on his life. Now he's just like a bodyguard somewhere in California, and he's reflecting on his life and what happened in Vietnam. It's bizarre. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
this is bizarre as hell. I gotta read some of this.
Yeah,
now.
I've got a lot of, as we go through, in Book Corner, I kind of made a bunch of notes. There's a bunch of scenes that are just not there at all.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And I had to watch the Redux for the commentary. There's only commentary in the
Oh.
Redux version. It's amazing that how much like that movie is 45 minutes longer, and I would say that is not even worth watching.
Really?
Yeah,
Did they have
So
did
just
they have
what,
a
extra
scene where
stuff
he
or
gets
what?
to sleep with the Playboy girls?
there's so much more nudity. Yeah, there's like 4 sets
Oh,
of
God.
boobs in the Redux version. There's none in the original. There's a scene where they get on like a muddy town as they're going up the river, and the the Playmate helicopter ran out of gas, so they find him there and they
That's
paid him
in
as
the script,
prostitutes.
and it's really an awkward sort of. It's really
the hell?
It's a
awkward.
terrible scene. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's
Nope.
not. They didn't get all the footage they needed to make it make sense, but he still is like, I thought this was fun. And I actually thought it was extra weird.
Well, there's some really beautiful women there. We had fun.
Yeah.
So I don't even get that in the movie sense itself. It's like they're supposed to like be way upriver or something that was really hard to get there to. They had the helicopter drop the boat, and then there's this whole PSO show right there.
Yeah,
like,
that was strange. It like came out of nowhere too.
I don't know. It just seems sort of strange they had to work so hard to get there where then they're bringing in the Playboy
I have
bunnies.
the same question where it's like, all right, they're working hard to get to this spot, and then like they get mail. It's like, how the fuck are they getting
Right.
mail? If
I
there's
know.
like a
It
mailman
always
that
seems
can
like,
get
yeah.
all the way over here, like why didn't they take that route? What the fuck?
Like the Truman Show or something. They just like, there's the grocery store over
I've
there.
tried
I
to
don't know.
explain that away that this guy is a very good assassin. So they like need to transport him from where he was to where he's going. So like it's not, they can't just get anybody like that's already there to go to
but
it.
they could have they just have took him from helicopter. They don't need the fucking boat, I mean, I don't get it. It just seems a bit odd. But yeah,
Well, they wanted to give him time to read all the dossiers, right?
yeah, that which is weird. That's how you prepare for a mission. You just take it with you. That's real secure.
Yep.
You just this mission never occurred unless you look in my backpack, and then you'll see everything you want to know. That scene.
I never
was
thought about
really-
it like that.
Yeah,
That's true.
it seems weird that you prepare for your mission, then you go do your mission. You don't sit there and study
Now when
along
you're
the
a
way,
complete nut drunk,
Yeah, I guess.
crazy person.
But that scene with the Playboy bunnies then is also really awful because
The one that doesn't
They-
exist in the theatrical cut.
though it doesn't in the script, they are out of gas and they run into them and they basically the Willard character says, "Well, yeah, we'll give you the gas, but your bunnies have to have sex with all my men," and so they do. And
Seems
that's
like a fair
that's the
trade.
script, and he's like thanking her for making him feel like he's back home, and she throws a shoe at him. And that's the end of that scene in
what
the
was
script.
the
But
purpose of the scene? Doesn't seem like it has any.
some sex, I guess.
The whole purpose of
women
the
are
whole
used
movie-
by some of these guys, I don't know.
all these little vignettes are based on true stories.
So just
Yeah.
guys that actually did shit like that
Yeah.
while they were
It's
there.
just kind
and
of like a weird.
it's just setting
spray-
up the idea of like this is where they're at in the elements of
That
Vietnam.
also then makes
I
sense
see.
in why I feel like even though I'm really enjoying the film, it's hard to feel much depth because the linearness of the story is not really there. It's just like, and then we meet helicopter guy who's really cool, and this is all fun with the Ride of the Valkyrie scene and everything. But it could have all not been there as far as the story of this character. It doesn't even matter.
But it does,
And-
though. I
and
mean,
so-
if you're talking about any war movie, none of it needs to be there. All it is just showing you what war is like, which
I guess
isn't
so.
linear, doesn't need to make sense. You
I
you
guess
don't
so.
get to
I
meet
guess that's
characters
fair,
the
but
entire arc.
It feels more like it's contained in vignette-ish, not one thing bleeding into the next. I don't know.
What about-
So it just?
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. What about like Full Metal Jacket? That's like two halves.
Oh yeah,
That's
Yeah.
split in half, and this one.
it's split in half, but they're definite arcs and a nice and much more character cohesion, like through the. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Character cohesion. Fuck me. So there's like it seems like there's much more depth to the story and the characters, and they follow a path both in the first half and the second half. It's okay. I liked it. It's fun. But
Doesn't sound like you liked
No,
it.
it didn't.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
No,
yeah.
I agree.
They're like the helicopter scene in the script, they steal his surfboard. So
Yep,
Willard all
they
of a sudden
they filmed that.
did they
that was in the
because all of a
Redux.
sudden Willard's a surf junkie and wants to steal, or they also felt like Kilgore was just crazy, but it makes no sense to steal a crazy man's surfboard when he's got an attack helicopter.
It made no sense
squadron.
in the movie. It was really
Yeah.
bad.
But there's this scene where Kilgore's hunting them down. Say, all I want is the surfboard. Yelling that from the chopper, and they're like, "We're not going to give him the surfboard." Like, fucking, it just didn't make no sense. Yeah,
Yeah, they removed there was some slapstick. That scene was filmed as like a Marx Brothers, is what Francis Ford
Oh my
Coppola
God.
said. Marx Brothers, like,
nice guy, huh?
yeah.
What? Just
So there
gonna,
was
like,
actual like attempted comedy in the Redux version, which
ooh,
didn't work.
Dear.
Not once.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought he was
kind of hard to do that too. If you really like stoned out of your gourd, you're not going to get that timing. Real hard to do that kind of precise comedy when you're really fucked up.
You don't think Chaplin did drugs?
Did he?
I don't know.
No.
Buster Keaton?
Probably not. Too much precision needed.
Back in
Yeah,
the
I
day,
think.
drugs
I
are
don't
frowned
know.
upon.
I mean, you can have people that are on something and performing at a high level.
It's true.
DC, what do you think?
I liked it. I thought it was good. Like I said, the opening is one of the best openings I've ever seen. Like, I kept thinking to myself, did they tell the helicopters not to go above a certain height? Like, how did they get them all to like perfectly go with just their,
Were there any
landing
helicopter
gear?
crashes in this film?
Nope.
Or
That's a good question.
Not even when they showed, like in the Flight of the Valkyrie portion, they set off. Francis Ford Coppola is kind of a big asshole. We can get into that during the commentary stuff, but there's a shot where one of the helicopters gets hit from the ground below, and there's an explosion at the foot of the helicopter, and you see the helicopter like swerving. That was Francis Ford Coppola telling the like explosion guy to put more explosions on than he was planning on doing, and he almost crashed the helicopter, but he didn't.
Oh my God.
Shit.
So like all the special effects of this movie are real, which is completely insane.
Dude,
Nobody
some of the
died.
like height, some of the height they were flying in at by the beach was insane.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've never seen a helicopter fly that low.
He was talking about how they had dolly rigs on the beach, and like the rotor blades, the tail blades in the helicopter came really close to the cameraman a lot.
My God.
Oh, that's
But nobody got
scary.
clipped. But like they just
No,
kept
that's
filming.
amazing.
Everything's
I
fine.
was wondering that even like with it just seems so freaking odd at the PSO show that you're going to land with your celebrities crawling out of a helicopter. It just seems so dangerous.
Right above people too.
Right.
I
And
know.
then the agent's going to throw a smoke grenade because they're going to get out of there because that's just part of the job.
Yeah.
That flare in the helicopter was real too. He's like, whenever you see
No,
any of these
really?
shots from inside the
Damn.
helicopter, it looks like it's up in the air.
They
We're
had a
actually
real flare
in.
inside the helicopter
Yeah.
flying in the air.
Yes, and the fucking pilot couldn't see when they were doing that shit.
Wow.
There's a lot of very irresponsible shit that happened on the set of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1979.
Harrison Ford's least impressive performance. I'd
He's
say.
terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will get on board with. He was out of place. He seemed like he didn't want to be there. He seemed like he was nervous.
I think he
Yeah,
was
he's getting
sick
a nice
too.
little
Or I
paycheck.
seem to remember. Everybody was sick though, apparently, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. That's the end of what I got. No,
That's
I don't
it?
know. I mean, I thought I really liked the lighting. I liked the face paints.
Oh, best also,
Thought that
yeah,
was good.
best views of jungle ever.
Yeah,
that I
yes,
can
good.
recall. Like
Lots
Best
of
views
good
of
wide
river
shots.
ever.
right, yeah. I think yeah. So I know Smoke is the big sexy star.
There's
but
some shots where like the sunset is reflecting off the water and the boat comes and ripples the sun. You're like,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. There's just gorgeous scenery in this film. It's amazing. It's impressive how it looks now.
I'm amazed
Like-
that they got it with like sun.
Yeah.
If there wasn't like just rain out during their production, because they had almost every shot looked like it was. I mean, they had some of those ones that was rarely raining, but like for the most part, all the shots look bright, sunny, and beautiful. Like, but it's tropical, so I figured like it's got to rain more than we're seeing, right? So they got pretty lucky, I think.
No, they got pretty unlucky.
Really?
Yeah, they shot for a long time and the budget blew up because
Oh.
they built a bunch of sets and a typhoon came and destroyed like most of the shit.
Oh, so that's one bad go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they tried to film some of the Redux stuff when they go to the bunny area. They tried to film during the typhoon, which is why they couldn't complete the footage because it was like during
shit.
that storm. And it was one of the sets that just got destroyed. So they were filming on a destroyed set during the typhoon. They tried to, make it work, but didn't happen.
Shit.
So
Those
we
are
can
bad. Those are bad shooting days.
yeah.
Those are days you do not want to be in production.
And there's a lot more
Yeah.
detail on that stuff in the documentary that we're going to watch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the writing was good, but now that I know it was mostly editing, I got to read the script now. I have no real complaints about this one. Not like last week. So
Oh, that's good.
I thought it was. I really liked this one. I also kind of forgot that it was all about the madness for some reason. I don't know. Maybe if I've seen it recently and didn't finish it. So like I only saw like the war parts, but like once you get to the parts where he's actually about to kill him, and those are some heavy spots. And they chop up the fucking cow. Is that a real cow?
That's a real yak.
Looked
I
like it
thought
was a
so.
real cow being really
I
chopped
thought
up.
so.
Yeah.
Yep. That's brutal.
They were going to do it anyway, So
No, it's part of their ritual, I would
Right,
imagine.
yeah.
Or like religion.
pretty effective. Scary as fuck.
And like linking it up to him chopping up dude was, and I kept yelling out, I'm just a contender. I'm just a contender. The horror, Charlie. Yeah, I thought it was good. I don't know. I guess when I got to the end too, all you can think of is like, is that why the last guy was losing his mind there? Like he showed up, went nuts, ended up being there forever because they bowed down to him.
Yeah,
has to
maybe.
be, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was going nuts anyway. I
like
don't
you were
know.
already going nuts, and then you ended up in this random place with like a ton of people, and they're like bowing down. You're like, I'm not leaving this. This is great.
Yeah,
This
this
is great.
is
It's fucking awesome.
So you
These
think
guys
he was
love
the
me.
assassin? Well, he did call himself an assassin, didn't he? What do you call it when you sat?
So like one guy went to kill somebody, then he laid there, and then they get the next guy.
Yeah.
But then Charlie Sheen's such a nice guy. He grabs his surfer buddy and hightails it out of there.
There
That's
you go.
right.
You know,
Maybe he turns the boat around after they roll credits. And he's like,
No, they don't do
actually,
credits.
I would like to be a god.
You know what? They were bowing down to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
right.
It's pretty
Maybe
cool.
we clean up some of the heads, spruce the place up a bit. It'd be
Yes,
nice.
you know, I mean, that's right. We'll get somebody to take away the heads. That's first, right? I mean, that seems like a reasonable.
You guys got
ask.
Febreze around here?
Right.
No? All right, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, anybody got a broom? Anybody? No, I mean, there's a lot of fucking trees we could use. Can someone get me a broom? We got to get rid of these heads. Yeah, right. That was one of the weirdest parts, like when the heads, and then like that whole dude's, he's just being nice last week. I didn't quite get that whole spiel. Like, why were they setting him up to be a nice guy? And they didn't really follow through with him being a nice guy. They just followed through with him being like a resentful, regretful old guy.
Right, you don't get to really see.
You don't
kind
like
of-
get to see like where was this terror?
No,
that he
no,
was-
you're supposed
you know.
to. That's another kind of problem. Is I think you're supposed to be moved by his words because there's really nothing else there to tell you about his character and why he's so like charismatic or yeah. But
I like it
supposedly
because he's
yeah.
sitting there and he's trying to figure out why people are falling in love with this guy, and he doesn't fall in love with this guy.
Oh no, but he does. He is.
I don't think he
that's the point
does.
of the movie. No. The point of the movie is he's fascinated by this guy, and
Right, until he
and
meets
that's the
him.
kind of the Heart of Darkness thing. This is the whole theme: is that he's like him. He's been sent to kill him, but he is him. And
But he
it's
thinks
just-
so. He's going insane, right? And he thinks he's going insane, and he thinks this guy's going insane the exact same way. But as soon as he meets him, he realizes he's not insane the same way this guy is insane.
Mhm.
So he thinks this guy. So when he sees like Charlie Sheen's more insane than Marlon Brando, I disagree. I think Marlon Brando is way more insane. Guy talks nonsense all the time. He like wants to kill everybody. He wants to like drop the bomb on
That's
where
true.
he is.
Yeah, I guess so. I think I thought the movie was wanting.
And I have a
did.
theory that he gives everyone drugs too. And that's the only reason that
Well,
everybody
yeah.
would be there
I
and
see.
listening to him just read
Well,
poetry
that
in his
happens in
stinky
the, I think
chamber.
that happens in the script that everybody gets acid.
You have a good point there, Denny.
And I think in the script, Sheen. So there's all this narration that's not in the script that was like written by yet another writer. So the majority of the narration that you hear from Sheen's character is written by a third person, and it's not in the script about that sort of like evaluation of the character. I don't think that he's like crazier than I am or anything of that, because again, you don't have that Sheen making the decision to kill him because he's dying anyway. And he's going to be killed by the enemy because they're going to get overrun. So it doesn't matter.
But that's
so
not
you
in
don't
the
have
movie,
that. No, but that's all the script. So I might be confusing everything. Because I know you're right. He doesn't he have that? It's a voiceover where he says he's crazier than I am, right? That Sheen's character says that. Willard says that.
I don't think he says exactly that, but he definitely talks about how he's like, he questions his sanity.
Yeah.
Coming from the guy who was fucking spreading blood all over his face, drinking vodka.
He's had a bad time.
He's having a bad go.
Yeah,
it's
tough- it's tough being a
bad
soldier.
Saturday. It's a bad Saturday. There's nothing you can do sometimes, a couple of too many pops. Yeah, a couple too many pops.
Yeah.
And he's having a bad go. So
Yeah,
fucking, what are you going to do? Rub some blood over your face. Duh. I mean, come on. That's just the natural step.
What did
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah.
Who did I hurt?
I thought some of the voiceover stuff was a little lame sounding. He's like, all I needed was a mission. I'm just waiting for a mission.
I mean, there was some
He's
of
itching
that.
for a
Yeah,
mission.
there was. I'm not a huge voiceover.
That's
Can be
better, Denny.
He's
Yeah,
itching for a
voiceover
mission.
can be
Come on,
tough.
John.
this voiceover can be tough.
Yeah.
I just can't hear. It's hard when you love something so much and you hear people talk any way negative on it. It's just hard to hear. You know?
I know.
Just because other
this is a
people's
great
opinions
movie.
are confusing
This is a
sometimes.
legendary movie. There's like,
I'm fine with that. I mean, I'll say it's top 250 and all that. I'm not
For
you
this,
know,
this is one of the ones. I mean, this is like one of two
this
movies
this-
while I'm watching it. I was like, this could be number one. I think.
Oh,
Like
wow.
2001 Space Odyssey for me should be higher up. And this one, watching it at 48,
Oh,
I
damn.
think this one should
We
be much
giving
higher
away-
up.
You mean it's
giving
not
away
get
our
busy
list here.
dying and get
Giving away
busy
what our-
living
what
and
our
all that other
50
shit?
review is going to be.
Yeah,
Now we
well, it's
can
not.
make
It's
fun
not
of
even
you
like.
again.
Not even specifically my personal preference, even though it overlaps there, but just like there's no other movie like this, I don't think. Like every other war movie doesn't have just this many helicopters in it. It doesn't have, like that's one thing.
Decadent. This movie is so fucking decadent. I mean, it's just, I mean, and
it's
and
excessive.
I like it. It's something different. And you're right. I can see how you can sort of appreciate the sort of meta-ness of this, that it's kind of very American.
I love the meta-ness,
like,
but also I think the movie works really well by itself, because I think you're relating this to The Green Knight is pretty good, because that movie, I think this is one of the movies I like to consider like a nightmare, like it doesn't necessarily make logical sense, but it has a tone that I think in the theatrical cut is like really, really consistent throughout. And even though like character motivations don't always make sense, sometimes the acting is not,
right.
traditionally good.
I think what's hard is I'd want this film to be disturbing given its subject matter.
I think it is.
But it isn't bothered. I wasn't bothered.
I was bothered.
Maybe that's my problem.
I think the scene where Lawrence Fishburne gets shot and like the tape of his mother talking was like pretty affecting. I thought the scene where they were like in the middle of that the raid of the Vietnam village, where there's just that random dude that gets his leg blown off and they're doing surgery on him.
Right.
That's pretty fucking intense.
Yeah, I guess so.
When they blow up the helicopter,
I also should admit,
throwing the grenade in the helicopter, that's pretty damn memorable. And then they go chasing after those people and shoot them from the helicopter.
Right,
pretty scary.
Oh, the girl with the grenade wasn't in the script. That was also ad-libbed, it seemed. Or just,
It's just really unpleasant. It's like, it's a really dirty, the movie seems dirty and bloody and stinky. Like the movie stinks. You can
the smoke
smell
is
it.
so beautiful. Just smell the smoke.
It's napalm.
I know. I didn't
Smell
get it
victory.
watching it. That's not, maybe it was where my head was at, and I just was emotionally detached.
I also love how this
didn't
movie
get that.
peters out. There's kind of a little mini climax when they cut back and forth between the Marlon Brando stuff and the yak stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie peters out. He gets there, it slows down in the last 45 minutes of the movie.
It was going to be this glorious, amazing battle, this real shrein of fire kind of shit going on.
And there are times while watching it where there are when Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen, when the Sheen guy is leaving the
Sheen, one of the Sheens, they're all the same.
Yeah, they look
Same
the
guy,
exact
really.
same. When he's leaving,
Martin
it's
Sheen.
like the shots are too long. Like there are times I'm watching, I'm like, they could have cut this in half. Or some of the Brando stuff, I'm just like, oh man, he's like such a pretentious asshole, when he's acting. But it's so memorable. I see him in my head so easily what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's something, there's something to be said about that. Even though it's fair. It doesn't fit into. John's done talking, so he's yawning. Thanks, John.
He's making me yawn.
Fuck. Oh, God.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know.
What a good movie.
Where was I going with that?
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. I sort of dotted off there a little bit. I'm sorry.
The helicopters in the smoke. I mean,
that's all you need.
Hey, that was good. That little swirly it makes. That's so cool.
Best
it
part of the
looks like
movie.
a fan.
It was. Honestly, it's really good.
It's a little mustache. It's a helicopter mustache.
I liked a lot of the sound. I like the sound design.
Oh, dude, sound was good, even for fucking stereo and 5.1. I have to say, man, it was.
This is one of the first movies that had 5.1 surround sound, and that was pretty hard to do when they were
Hold on.
In Vietnam.
I got a visitor.
Oh,
Hold on,
boy.
buddy. Sit. Here, hold on. Let me fix something here. They're not going to see you unless I turn the. Not really, but okay. Sorry, guys. I got to take a pause.
Sure.
Oh, TC's pausing anyway. All right. I'm taking a pause.